Welcome to the Learn English Podcast Daily. My name is Claire.
My name is James. By listening to this, you may learn English in a very simple way.
Today, we are going to talk about a very interesting topic. Please don't forget to subscribe our channel and hit the bell icon. Okay, let's deep into the topic.
Okay, there's definitely something in the air when October rolls around, isn't there? That smell of wood smoke, leaves crunching, and then this buzz building up to October 31st. We are, of course, talking about Halloween. It's everywhere, celebrated globally, but it's this weird mix, right? Ancient feelings and, well, plastic skeletons.
Yeah, it really is. One night, the whole neighborhood just transforms, cobwebs, glowing things everywhere. But you've hit on something really key there. Behind all the fun-sized candy bars and the masks you buy at the store, there's this history that's honestly much richer and sometimes, well, frankly, a bit darker than we usually think about today.
Right. So that's our mission for this deep dive. We've looked at historical accounts, some psychological studies, even anthropological sources. We want to trace how this thing evolved. How did it go from, say, a pagan ritual, maybe born out of fear, to this massive multi-billion-dollar thing we have now?
Exactly. We're going to follow that thread, see how a Celtic harvest festival became this.
Yeah.
And figure out where the costumes really came from and the jack-o'-lanterns and, of course, trick-or-treating. The big question, I guess, is how did a festival about, keeping bad spirits away become one of the most popular kid-focused holidays we have? It's quite a shift.
Okay, so to start this deep dive, we need to go way back, over 2,000 years, to the ancient Celts. We're talking Ireland, the UK, northern France, that area.
Yeah.
And their big festival, Samhain?
Samhain, yeah. It's pronounced roughly Samhain.
Samhain. Okay. How important was that for them? Was it just another holiday?
Oh, absolutely critical. No, not just another holiday. It was basically their new year. It marked the definite end of the harvest. Summer's over. And it's the start of the dark, cold winter part of the year, which for them was a time of real scarcity, maybe danger, definitely uncertainty.
And the sources we looked at say this seasonal shift wasn't just about weather. It had this huge spiritual meaning, right?
Yeah.
Something about the boundary between our world and the spirit world.
Yeah, becoming dangerously thin. That's the phrase often used.
Dangerously thin. Okay, so what did that actually mean for people? What did they have to do?
Well, it meant that spirits could cross over more easily. Both maybe benevolent ancestors, but also potentially harmful, malevolent entities. So they believed these spirits could just walk the earth. And that meant the Celts had to do basically two things. Divination, trying to get knowledge or predictions maybe about the coming year, and crucially, protection, surviving the night.
Protection. And that's where we start seeing the earliest hints of what Halloween looks like now. How did they protect themselves?
They did a few really key things. First, huge bonfires, massive community bonfires lit as sacred fires. And these weren't just for light or heat. The idea was that people would relight their own home fires from this central community flame. Yeah. It was symbolic, like carrying the community's light through the dark season together.
Wow. Okay. And the other thing, disguises.
Yes, disguises. To avoid being spotted or targeted by any nasty spirits wandering about, the Celts wore costumes. These early versions were pretty basic, often made from animal heads and skins. The idea was either to confuse the spirits, make them think you were one of them, or just not be recognized as human.
So costumes started as camouflage, not for fun, but for safety.
Pretty much, yeah. A practical life-saving measure, essentially. That's a big shift from today.
Definitely. Now, Samhain seems like it was really deeply rooted. It even survived when the Roman Empire expanded into Celtic areas, didn't it?
Yeah.
How did Roman traditions start mixing in?
Right. The Romans were pretty good at absorbing local customs rather than just stamping them out. They sort of folded into their own festivals that happened around the same time. There was Feralia, which was their day to remember the dead. And maybe more importantly for later traditions, Pomona. She was the goddess of fruit and trees.
Pomona. Fruit and trees. Okay, I think I see where this is going with modern Halloween.
Exactly. Pomona's symbol was the apple, and the Roman influence is very likely where apple bobbing comes from, which, by the way, was often seen as another form of divination itself, trying to figure out who you'd marry, things like that. So the apples just got woven into the existing Samhain traditions.
So apples from the Romans, but the name Halloween itself, that comes later, with Christianity trying to deal with these older pagan festivals.
Correct. Starting around the 7th, 8th centuries, you see the church making a move. Popes designated November 1st as All Saints' Day or All Hallows' Day. The timing wasn't accidental. It was meant to absorb or replace the pagan celebrations like Samhain. So logically, the night before, October 31st, became All Hallows' Eve.
All Hallows' Eve, Halloween.
Exactly. It just got shortened over time. And they also added November 2nd as All Souls' Day. So you get this 3-day observance called Hallowtide. The church tried to shift the focus to honoring saints and praying for the dead, less fear-based.
Yeah.
But people, well, they kept the bonfires and the disguises. They just sort of adapted them, maybe dressing as saints or devils instead of just spirits.
It's that classic blending you see everywhere, cultures mixing. But when these traditions crossed the Atlantic to America, our sources say it took a really long time for Halloween to catch on. Why was that?
Yeah, it was slow going at first. The early colonists, especially the Puritans up in New England, were very strict Protestants. They rejected pretty much anything that seemed connected to Catholicism or older pagan ways. So Hallowtide was definitely out for them. The holiday didn't really start becoming widespread in America until much later in the 19th century. And that was mainly thanks to the huge numbers of Irish and Scottish immigrants coming over.
Especially after the potato famine in the 1840s, right? They brought their traditions with them.
Exactly. They brought their versions of Samhain customs, the mischief, the divination games, the dressing up.
And what did those early American versions look like? It wasn't kids going door to door for candy yet, was it?
No, not really. It was more about community gatherings, parties, often with a focus on fortune-telling or finding romance.
Mm-hmm.
We read about these play parties. Young women might do things like try to peel an apple in one single long strip.
Oh, I've heard of this.
Yeah, then toss it over their shoulder. And
Yeah.
the shape it landed in was supposed to show the initial of their future husband. Stuff like that.
But there was also that other side to it. The mischief night aspect, pranks getting out of hand.
Oh, yeah. It got pretty rowdy. Sometimes quite destructive, actually. We're not talking about just TPing a house. Sources mention things like overturning outhouses, which is pretty gross, soaping up windows so badly you couldn't see, even blocking roads or taking gates off hinges. It became a real problem in many towns.
So much so that communities actively tried to, tame it?
Precisely. In the early 20th century, there was this conscious push across America, civic groups, schools, parents. They wanted to make Halloween less about vandalism and more, manageable, more child-friendly.
So the effort to stop the teenage mischief is what paved the way for organized trick-or-treating. Give the kids something else to do.
That seems to be exactly it. Giving kids an organized, supervised activity going door to door, maybe performing a little song or poem, like in the old guising tradition, steer them away from the random destruction. And then trick-or-treating as we really know it today, with the emphasis on candy, that absolutely exploded right after World War II. Sugar rationing ended, commercial candy became cheap and available, and boom.
That makes total sense. Wow. Okay, let's pivot to the symbols. Because every plastic witch or glowing pumpkin on someone's lawn carries a piece of this story. The big one, jack-o'-lanterns. Where did they come from?
Right, the iconic jack-o'-lantern. Its story actually starts back in Ireland with this old folk tale about a guy called Stingy Jack. The legend goes, Jack was clever, maybe too clever, and managed to trick the devil multiple times. So when Jack finally died, he wasn't allowed into heaven. But the devil wouldn't take him into hell either because of their deals. So the devil supposedly gave Jack a single burning coal, and Jack put it inside a hollowed-out turnip to light his way as he wandered the earth forever.
Wait, a turnip, not a pumpkin. The symbol of Halloween was a turnip.
Originally, yeah. According to the folklore. So Irish immigrants brought that tradition with them. They'd carve scary faces into turnips or potatoes, maybe beets, whatever they had, to frighten away Stingy Jack and other wandering spirits. But when they got to America, they found pumpkins, native pumpkins, which are, much bigger, way easier to hollow out and carve. So they adapted. and the pumpkin became the standard.
That's incredible. A turnip. Okay. And the phrase itself, trick or treat, how did that come about?
That specific phrase seems to be a mashup of a couple of older traditions we touched on. There was souling during Hallowtide in the Middle Ages. Poor people would go door to door offering prayers for the souls of the dead in exchange for little pastries called soul cakes.
Okay. So a religious exchange.
Right. And then there was guising, more common in Scotland and Ireland. Kids or young adults would dress up in costumes and go around performing a little song or a poem or a trick, maybe tell a joke, in return for food, fruit, or coins. The actual phrase trick or treat, though, it seems to have first appeared in print somewhere in North America in the 1920s. It kind of bluntly combines the idea. Give us a treat, or we'll play a trick on you, echoing that older Mischief Night vibe.
Got it. Okay. Quick hits on the other standard spooky decor. Black cats and bats. Where do they fit in?
Black cats really got their bad rap during the witch hunts in Europe centuries ago. There's this widespread belief that witches could shapeshift, and their favorite form was supposedly a black cat, allowing them to sneak around unnoticed. So black cats became linked to bad luck, witchcraft, evil omens.
Okay. So witch hunts and bats.
Bats have a more direct link back to Samhain itself. Remember those huge bonfires?
Yeah.
Well, massive fires at night attract swarms of insects. And what eats insects? Bats. So Samhain festivals would have naturally drawn lots of bats flitting around the edges of the firelight. Then later, 19th century Gothic literature, Bram Stoker's Dracula, that really cemented their association with vampires and the generally spooky nighttime vibe.
Right. Makes sense. Okay, so let's jump to now. We've traced the history, the symbols, but why do we embrace it so much today? Why do we spend, like you said, billions of dollars to basically scare ourselves? Haunted houses are huge business.
Yeah, it taps into something really interesting psychologically. It's often called recreational fear.
Mm.
When you walk into a really well-done haunted house, your body absolutely kicks into gear. You get that genuine fight or flight response, heart pounds, adrenaline
It's
surges.
scared, genuinely scared.
You do. But here's the key difference. The rational part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, knows it's not real. It understands you're in a controlled environment, that the actors aren't actually going to harm you.
So you get the physical thrill without the actual danger.
Precisely. And the result, when you come out the other side, is often this rush of euphoria. Relief, maybe?
Yeah.
A sense of accomplishment, I survived.
Hmm.
And studies, like those mentioned by the American Psychological Association, suggest this kind of controlled scare experience can actually build resilience.
Mm.
And maybe even more importantly, it strengthens social bonds when you go through it with friends. That shared "we made it" feeling.
Ah, the social bonding, that connects to the costumes too, doesn't it? It's not just about hiding anymore.
Not at all. Today, the costume is much more about identity play. It's a chance to step outside your everyday self, your normal social roles, just for a night. We've seen that evolution, right? From those basic animal skins for protection to maybe homemade ghosts and sheets in the 50s or cardboard robots, all the way to today's incredibly detailed, mass-produced costumes of movie characters. Or even people getting really creative with DIY stuff or those clever punny costumes you see now. It's self-expression.
And what about food? Beyond the mountains of candy, are there older food traditions still around?
Well, candy is definitely king now, but yeah, there are deeper roots. We mentioned apple bobbing from the Romans. In Ireland and Scotland, there's barmbrack. It's a kind of fruitcake, and traditionally was baked with little charms hidden inside, like a fortune cookie.
Oh, cool. Like what?
Things like a ring meant you'd get married within the year. A coin meant good fortune or wealth was coming. Maybe a pea meant, no marriage that year.
Huh. Okay. And what happened to things like homemade popcorn balls or caramel apples? Used to see those more.
Yeah, those saw a big decline, mostly in the 1970s and 80s. There were widespread fears, often fueled by media, and mostly unfounded, about people tampering with unwrapped homemade treats, poison, needles.
Oh, I remember those scares.
Right. So sadly, that led many communities and parents to say, only commercially wrapped candy, please. Which kind of killed off some of those older homemade treat traditions for safety reasons.
Okay, so pulling all this together, the history, the psychology, the symbols, What's Halloween's main job, socially speaking, in the 21st century? What does it do for us now?
I think it serves a really vital social function, actually. It's one of the few times of year that genuinely encourages, almost forces, old school face-to-face community interaction. Think about it. People put effort into decorating their houses. That's like a performance or a gift for the whole neighborhood.
Yeah, you walk around just to see the decorations sometimes.
Exactly. And trick-or-treating itself gets families out walking the streets, ringing doorbells, talking to neighbors they might not interact with otherwise. It creates what sociologists sometimes call third places, those social spots that aren't home and aren't work. It builds a temporary, shared community identity just for that night. Kind of breaks down barriers a little.
A shared identity, but it looks really different depending on where you are in the world, right? American-style Halloween gets exported, but other cultures have their own very distinct ways of marking this time of year, especially around remembering the dead.
Oh, absolutely. It's
Mhm.
really important to see it's not the only way. Look at Mexico's Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. It happens right around the same time, October 31st to November 2nd. But the feeling is totally different from the Celtic Samhain roots of Halloween. Samhain was partly about fear of spirits, avoiding them. Dia de los Muertos is all about lovingly welcoming back the souls of relatives who've passed away.
So it's not scary, it's joyful, a reunion.
Completely. Families build these beautiful altars of ofrendas in their homes. They decorate them with marigolds. The scent is thought to guide the souls back pictures, candles, and all the favorite foods and drinks of the person they're remembering. It's rooted in ancient indigenous Aztec traditions, blended with Catholicism. It's about celebration, family, memory, feasting. It's thematically worlds apart from the spooky side of Halloween.
That's a great contrast. And there are similar ideas elsewhere, focused on ancestors returning.
Yes, definitely. In Japan, you have the Obon Festival. It's usually in July or August, depending on the region. It's a Buddhist tradition where ancestral spirits are believed to return to visit their family homes. Again, it's a time for family reunions, visiting graves, lighting lanterns to guide the spirits, and traditional community dances called Bonodori. It highlights that this idea of connecting with ancestors at certain times of the year is pretty widespread.
And just quickly, you also mentioned Romania, a different kind of blend there.
Yeah, a more modern, almost tourist-driven blend. Around Halloween, you get tourists flocking to Transylvania, particularly around Bran Castle, which is marketed as Dracula's castle.
Uh-huh.
So there it's mixing the global Halloween trend with their own Gothic literary connections. It shows how the scary aspect still has a powerful pull culturally and economically.
Wow. So when you really dig into it, the story of Halloween is just incredible. It's about adaptation, isn't it? Resilience. It's soaked up influences from ancient Celts, Roman gods, Christian saints, waves of immigrants.
Yeah.
Yet somehow that core idea of playing with the boundary between, light and dark, life and death, what we know and what we don't, that persists. It's become this time to maybe face some of those fears, but in a safe way, a fun way, and definitely a social way.
I think that's perfectly put. And maybe a final thought to leave people with. Think back to those ancient Celts and their bonfires.
Mm-hmm.
They lit those massive fires for a really deep reason, to bring the community together, literally share light, and face the darkness of winter as one. You could almost argue that today. See all those jack-o'-lanterns glowing on porches across a neighborhood, carved from an American pumpkin, sure, but maybe still carrying a fake echo of that old Irish trickster, Stingy Jack. Well, isn't that fulfilling a similar need? It's a shared light. Hundreds of little community fires pushing back against the dark together. A warm glow in the cold.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe our channel. Let's meet soon with a new interesting topic. Have a nice day.